Hey, it's Steven, one of the hosts from TRUTALKS with TRUMOTION. This is part one of our two-part interview with Master David Lynton. Unfortunately, a bit of the transition was cut off, so part one and part two don't have a good continuity. Please bear with us and enjoy the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to True Talk with TruMotion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Steven. Let's get things kicked off. Well, today we have a very special guest in the room. We've been able to track down the man, the myth, the legend, Master David Lynton. So, Master Lynton, thank you for joining us today. I know you came down from the great white south of Alpine, Utah, which, you know, sometimes you just can't even get out of that place. But I'm glad you made the hard trek here to the South Jordan Dojo, and we love to hear your abundance of stories. So thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. So first question is, when did you start training in the martial arts?
I started in Boston in 1979. At the Brighton Dojo, which is no longer there. And I got a job across the street at basically an REI, but it's no name. Okay. And they're gone. I got laid off 2 weeks later, and then I was full-time martial artist for about 3 years.
Okay, so You started training, and then you got a job at the store, like right around the dojo?
Right across the street. It was Eastern Mountain Sports.
Okay, and then they let you go, and then you're like, well, I'm in the dojo full-time.
Basically, I drove a taxi for a while.
Okay.
Wow.
Nice. Okay. And how long were you in Boston with your martial arts? Or what was it called? Was it Volare?
It was actually, it's interesting because my yellow and orange belt certificates still say United Studios. I was not aware of any of this, but it was looking back, it was United Studios of Self-Defense. Then it changed to Fred Volare Studios of Self-Defense. And then, of course, there's some
went back to United Studios. Was that a Volare thing, or was that a Charles Montera thing that your white and yellow belt, or yellow and orange belt, were United Studios?
I think they were United Studios at the time.
Really?
Or at least they still had the certificates. I didn't really pay attention until I looked back at my certificates, and then I realized, that's interesting. I think at some point, Fred Volare decided he wanted his name on the sign up top, and I don't know for what reason exactly. I can't remember, but that's when he changed it.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting, because I didn't know United Studios was a Volare concept, or if it even was his concept.
It was originally United, then it was Volare, and then Master Montera took over. Yeah. And then, this is a very short story, and then Mr. Volare said, hey, as long as my name's on the sign, I'm going to be involved. So that's when Master Montera changed it back to United Studios. Okay. Because he was buying it. He was buying the business from Fred.
Gotcha.
And Fred was meddling, and Master Montera said, I don't want you to meddle. He goes, well, my name's on the sign. I'm going to be involved. That's when the name changed back.
Okay. Was that in the 70s that happened?
No, I think that was in the 80s.
The 80s?
Yeah, because I was...
Oh, wait, no, you started in 79, right?
Yeah, I started in 79, but then I left Boston 2 or 3 years later. Okay. So I was out. That's another story. I ended up in Utah.
So you left Boston you were originally working to come to California, right?
Right.
And then I know I've heard the story before, but you got to tell the story about how you ended up in Utah.
Do I want that on the public record?
Yeah, well, we can censor things out if we need to.
So we were headed for California in, I think it was 1980-ish. And a week or two before we left, we went to the movie in Boston, Cleveland Circle, and I went out to get the car, and it was gone. It had been stolen. So I thought, that's not good.
Yeah, so Boston, just don't leave your car alone, right?
Yeah, apparently you shouldn't leave the keys in it. Who knew?
Oh, yeah.
Is it car or is it car?
It's car.
Car.
Yeah, it's car.
Okay.
Well, I actually grew up in New Jersey, so I don't have the accent.
Oh.
Not as bad as
I see.
It's Charlie.
So,
The
yeah.
car.
It's a car.
Side story, he came to Utah one time, and we had the whole class lined up, and he gets out in front. He goes, everybody in a horse stance. Nobody moved. They all looked at me. Horse stance. Oh, and they all get in a horse stance.
I had a very similar story to that, too. The first time I had gone to a workout at headquarters in Lake Forest. We were doing a blocking drill, and he was saying circular arcing block, but it was circular arcing block.
Arcing block.
Arcing block. And I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. And I was looking around, and I had to look to the guy next to me. I go, what is he talking about? And he goes, it's a circular arcing block. And I was like, that's what he's saying?
We don't say the R's.
Apparently not. I can't even do it justice by imitating it.
No, it's kind of fun to hear good
Boston accent. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's different from the New York accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can tell.
Okay, so you're driving to California.
Okay,
or no, wait, your car's stolen.
Car stolen, but got it back the next day. So when I went out to get my car in the parking lot, this is kind of funny. There was a BMW 2002, which was a little sports car, BMW at the time, was sitting where my car was, and the engine was running. And I thought, well, that's weird. But I didn't think much of it because I was looking for my car. Well, it turns out this guy had been stealing sports cars, driving them till he saw another one, and then switching. So he left
and then
the
just
BMW,
leaving the other one.
I had a Mazda RX-7.
Okay. Oh, an RX-7. All right.
That was a fun car.
Yeah.
That's classy.
I had it painted red. It was
Nice.
gray when I got it, and it was painted red. So I wanted more attention. From
Yeah,
the
you
police.
wanted more tickets.
Red cars just go faster naturally too.
Well,
If
you
they're
got
red,
Yeah.
they're
you
slippery.
got
Yeah.
the attention. It was stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the wrong attention. So we pack up and headed out west, and we get to Flagstaff, Arizona, and just decided it's lunchtime. Pull off at the first exit, random. Pull into this strip mall, and there was a Fred Villari Studios. Coincidentally.
Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me. And so I thought that's cool. Went in, talked to the instructor, Randy Scheffler. I remember him.
Okay.
He was a second degree, tall, blonde guy. And we chatted. I told him a little bit of my story and then went to get lunch. Let's go get lunch. So I pull out of the parking lot. 2 police cars are following me. I turn, they turn, I turn again, they turn again. I'm like, I'm going to get pulled over. So I pull into a parking lot, park the car, start to get out to see what they want. They jump out of their vehicles, put us at gunpoint, arrest us, me and my girlfriend, hands behind the back, put us in separate cars. And I just remember her saying, I'm not going anywhere without my purse. There's certain lines you just don't cross.
Exactly. She's got her priorities.
And so somehow they figured it out. Okay, so it was because Flagstaff is between LA and Phoenix. And a lot of drugs and a lot of stolen cars go through them. So I had Massachusetts plates. They immediately ran the plates.
And it
came
popped
up stolen because it's still on the NCIC record as stolen. They hadn't taken it off yet. It was a paperwork thing.
Okay.
Somehow they figured it out by the time we got to the police station. They brought me back to the car, and basically, I don't even think they said sorry about that.
They're just like, get out of here.
I had nunchucks in the car, which were technically illegal. And they were like, hey, those are legal, but we're not going to say anything because,
Because we arrested you
we arrested
illegally.
you at gunpoint for no good reason.
Well, we'll just call it even.
Yeah. You're traumatized.
Yeah.
And we had a good laugh.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was in the back of the police car, and I didn't know what was going on. So I'm kind of yelling at the guy, and somehow I got my handcuffs out in front of me. So when they went to take them off, I just held my hands out like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
They didn't say anything about it. This is, I think 1980 or so, and things were different.
Yeah. Beatings were common.
Yeah, I didn't want to beat the cops.
Yeah. Again, there's a line you draw.
I let them off easy.
You let them off easy. I agree.
So anyway, we went all the way up California to San Francisco, and it was the recession, so there was no jobs. So what do you do when there's no jobs?
Go somewhere else.
Go to school.
Yeah.
So I went back to Flagstaff, and I went to school. I enrolled in school, and she eventually left, went home to Boston.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is the Wild West. This is a pretty cool place. There was a gas station / quick convenience store with a drive-up window that you could buy beer and guns on a Sunday.
Beer and guns on a Sunday.
And I thought,
Wow.
this is so cool. Because in Massachusetts, they had the blue laws where you can do anything on Sunday. You can't shoot guns, you can't drink, you're supposed to be in church.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's interesting.
They changed it since then, where now it's one day a week. So businesses, because you have the Jews and the Muslims, and they all have different days. So probably 30 years ago, they changed it. Anyway, so coming from that background, I thought, this is crazy. Drive up window, I'm in my car, take a 6-pack and a 357.
Yeah, there you go.
Box of ammo, good to go. Here's some money.
Hey, that's the American dream, right? Guns and ammo.
So.
I don't having to leave your car.
Guns, ammo, and beer.
I didn't do it, but the fact that I could, I thought was pretty cool. My girlfriend had a different perspective on things.
That's why she's back in Boston.
She went back to Boston.
Yeah.
She came out to visit. So anyway, then I met in the dojo a guy named Fred Cody, and he was from Orem, and he had a contracting business that went under because of the recession. Okay. So he owed everybody money. So he basically was fleeing his creditors and ended up in Flagstaff. Thought, well, I guess I'll take karate. So that's where I met Fred Cody. And he was a descendant of Buffalo Bill Cody.
Oh, okay. That's pretty neat.
So he says.
Oh, yeah.
I had no reason to doubt him.
Right.
So him and his 2 kids and his wife were down there. And so I went to the dojo and started working out there. And he was there. Anyway, we became friends. And long story short, we decided to come to Provo and open up Fred Villari Studios, because there was no karate schools in the Yellow Pages at that time, except one guy in Salt Lake, a Japanese guy. I think he's still around.
Okay, so you were the only martial. In fact, that's something that you can hang your hat on to. You were technically the first professional martial arts school to open up in Utah.
No, this Japanese guy was in Salt Lake, and he had been there.
But how professional was he?
I think I never actually went to his dojo, but he had a dojo. He was in the Yellow Pages.
Okay.
And nobody else was. I think, Ed Parker apparently had been teaching out of BYU, and people were teaching out of the garage.
Yeah, but your first legit business.
Here's the mistake. We thought, well, we'll be the only game in town. People will be lined up down the block to come to our dojo.
Oh, yeah, they're just going to be knocking the door down.
So we go in, we set up the dojo, we buy Hoover's Men's Store on Center Street. And it was the split level on the second floor.
Yeah.
Well, what you learned was the reason you're the only game in town is because people weren't really supporting karate back in 1980 in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Had there been 7 or 8 schools, that would have been a better sign, because now we're competing with a known market.
Yeah.
So we were establishing the market, which was
you were the trailblazer.
Tough road to hoe.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's always difficult telling people that they need this. They don't believe you the first time.
Well, it's still 1980, and so karate in the United States was still, Bruce Lee was around, and Kung Fu was on TV, but Chuck Norris was around. But it was all new.
Yeah, it didn't have quite the mainstream as it does today. In fact, a lot of people still thought it was kind of like snake oil type stuff, effectively, right? Where it's like, oh, this is garbage, this will never work.
I don't remember what the public perception was. I was involved, and I really enjoyed it, so it was my thing. But I didn't really relate to what was going on in society at the time.
Gotcha.
I loved it, therefore other people must love it, so let's open a dojo.
And if they don't love it, there must be something wrong with them.
Obviously.
Yeah, apparently.
Do we really want those people?
Yeah, I mean, we should help those people.
They need help.
They need to experience it.
So at the time, we charged $25 a month.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
$25. And so I think we opened in 1981-ish. And that was basically the start of Fred Villari Studios in Utah at the time.
Yeah. Now, obviously the Provo dojos, it's still there, but it's not a dojo anymore.
Right. The building's still there.
I've been there. I was only able to go to the old dojo maybe a handful of times. I never went to the basement, though. I keep hearing stories about the basement of the Provo dojo. For some reason, every time I went down there, they never wanted to go down. And I'm just like, God, I've heard stories about the basement of the dojo. Like, please, let me just once go see it. Never got a chance to.
You don't want to go to the basement.
So what?
Some people never came back from the basement.
That's what I'm saying. I've heard stories. So it's like...
Oh, there's so many stories. If we did half that stuff today, there'd be problems. There'd be people knocking on our door with badges and guns.
Probably.
Yeah. But things are different back then. It's like when I was a kid, I had to walk to school in the snow up there both ways. It's the same with karate. I mean, safety gear was optional. What's a mouth guard?
Yeah.
We didn't wear T-shirts under our gis. We just had the gi, and things were different. Things were, in a sense, rougher.
Yeah, it was a little bit I don't want to say uncivilized, but like the Wild West. Everything was like the Wild West.
It was more Wild Westy.
Yeah. No, but I remember you telling a story about your dog in the basement. Turk, yes.
Turk was Charlie's dog, but Turk was in California, and he barked a lot. So they tried to cut his vocal cords, but it didn't work. So he just had this hoarse bark. It sounded like the Godfather. Like he was like, right, just really hoarse bark. But he was an Anatolian Carabash, an Anatolian Shepherd.
Okay.
So he's like a 90-pound dog. He was big, long hair, smart.
Yeah.
And so Charlie thought, well, I got to get rid of this dog. Who do I know that's dumb? I mean, who do I know that would be willing to take Turk? And he thought Utah, up in the mountains, the outdoors. Yeah. He thought of me. So I went down. And so I go to Charlie's house. He's like, where's Turk? He goes, oh, he's in that room. The door is closed to the room. He goes, just go in there, keep your hands in your pockets, and don't make any sudden moves.
Like, okay.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable.
Sounds delightful.
So Turk didn't kill me. And so he goes, why don't you take him for a walk? And this was down in Dana Point in Orange County.
It's a nice area.
So he gave me a leash, which was like a boat rope. It was like an inch thick. It was like those workout ropes.
The battle ropes, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm down by the harbor with Turk, and I don't really know Turk. Right? And there's no one there. And I'm like, oh, this is good. Nobody's here. And then I'm walking along. I'm a little sweaty. And then this lady comes walking the other way, and she has one of those tiny chihuahua or some small snack on a leash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen here.
You're like, okay.
So I'm tightening. I got the death grip on the leash, and Turk is kind of trying to sniff this dog, and she passed unmolested. So it worked out well. And then I took him up here, and he became a great dog. But there was issues. So Charlie tried to train him as a guard dog, unprofessionally. Like he just had a friend just climb over the fence with a hoodie and a mask.
Get him.
Yeah, it was very unprofessional. So. And I don't know what they did to the dog, but it was kind of traumatic for the dog. And then the neighborhood kids, this is what I'm told, Turk was on a leash in the front yard. The neighborhood kids would tease him, and they would figure out that his leash was only so long, and they'd stay just out of range. But get this, Turk learned to sit on his leash. So it looked like he was at the end of his leash.
And then he had a couple extra feet.
I told you he was smart. So anyway, but neighbors complain and blah, 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 you know. You lose a couple kids and people get upset.
Yeah.
So I took him. And then I had him at a car wash. I just had him. And I was the only one I was in the waiting room at the car wash, watching your car go through. And it's just me and the girl who works there. And she's like, oh, what a pretty dog. And she had a sandwich. She goes, can I feed him? I'm like, well, just be careful. And so she fed him, and he's licking her hand. Everything's fine. I'm like, all right.
Hey,
cool.
It's good.
Turk's friendly, didn't kill her. But I still had him on the leash. Then this old man comes in. His name, I think, was Mr. Brown. And he comes up, and Turk's sitting by me. He goes, oh, he's a nice dog. Does he bite? And he starts to put his hand out with the back of his hand towards the dog. And I started to say, I don't think you should do that. But all I got was, I don't. And then Turk went for his hand, right? And the guy pulled his hand back so fast, it went up his sleeve.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you okay? He pulls his hand out, and Turk had peeled off a little bit of skin, like a corner. So Mr. Brown had to go get a few stitches.
Oh.
And I had to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
$90 at the time was a lot of money. But he didn't sue me or anything. But anyway, so Turk had a record. Turk ended up with a record.
Yep.
I had to. Well, all right. Do we want to talk about Turk? I mean.
Well, I want to hear the story about when you had him down in the basement.
Well, this is his history.
We're getting to that, I think.
So I built in my backyard. I had a house in the backyard. I built the 12 by 8 concrete pad with a 10-foot chain link fence, and I locked him up. Well, one day he pulled the fence up from the bottom, got out, and there was a 4-foot chain link around the property. He jumped out and chased the paper boy, and he didn't bite him, but he kind of hit him with his tooth and in the back and broke the skin, so there was blood.
Yeah.
And once you drop blood, so get this. Allegedly, my girlfriend at the time, I said, the police said they were coming to get Turk. But they were called off on a traffic accident at the last minute. So I told my girlfriend, take him to your house. And so I called somebody called the police department and said, hey, I was getting gas. I was bringing Turk in to turn him in, you know. Mm-hmm. But I was getting gas, and he jumped out and ran away. And I don't know where he is. And they said, okay, if you find him, would you call us and let us know? I said, of course. And if you find him, would you let me know? They go, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Wink, wink.
Anyway, I forget exactly what happened, but I saved him a few times, and then I sent him to Vegas to be professionally trained.
Okay.
I went back after 2 weeks, and this trainer's like, sit, stay, all the usual. And I was like, yeah, that's great. Then we went to an Albertson supermarket, and where all their carts are being taken out, he put Turk and said, lay down. And Turk laid down in front of the carts, and he goes, let's go over here. I asked him, do you have insurance?
Yeah.
He's going to buy somebody. He didn't. People were stepping over him, pulling carts around him, and he didn't move a muscle. I was like, that is amazing.
Wow.
So I thought, we're good.
Yeah.
Take him back to Utah. But that's when and then he bit the paper boy. Anyway, and then I sent him to Vegas. My friend Arthur Udis at the time.
Yeah.
I had to get him out of town. So Arthur took him to his apartment, and he had a sliding glass door, and Turk tried to dig under the glass door. All he did was tear up the carpet.
Yep.
Right. Anyway, so I get him back, and he's okay for a while. So and then at the dojo, I would bring him sometimes, and for example, if there was a test, I locked it. So the men's change room was in the basement.
Okay.
Eventually,
Yeah.
it had been in several places before, but it was downstairs. That you go down the stairs and you're in the basement, and then right there you walk right into the men's change room. Well, I had Turk chained up there. I had to use chains
Because he
would
shoot
bite through ropes.
Yeah.
And it looked like a knife cut.
Oh.
So he had these incisors in the back that.
Just lop through everything.
So I used chain. So I chained him up in the back in the basement. And so I would say, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly, people were sent down to go get something out of the change room during a test.
Okay.
So all you would hear is thump, 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 thump. And the guy would come up all white-faced. There's a monster down there.
That was when the tests were in the good old days.
That was the stuff you can't do today.
Yeah. You can't have any fun. There's no fun.
He never bit anybody because I guess he barked soon enough where they scare everyone off. Yeah. If we get into test stories, I probably have to check on statute of limitations.
No, I just remember hearing just all sorts of fun things about, the basement of the Provo Dojo, and
well, we had an apartment down there for a while.
That's what I heard, and you even had like weights and all that.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
there was. So we had a large. So before the change room, it was a weight room.
Yeah.
And there was an old coal burning furnace. How the building used to be heated.
Oh, really?
It was converted to gas. But
Gotcha.
It looked like a giant water tank, but it was big and black and cast iron.
Yeah.
In the old days, you would throw coal in there, and that's how you heated the building. And then now it was converted to gas, but it was very inefficient. There's stories on that too. There was some good stories. But then it was a weight room for a while, and then in the front of the dojo, there was an apartment which you could access from the office through a trapdoor. No, behind the office there was a bathroom / change room for the instructor.
Yeah.
And you could, and there was a trapdoor, and we built stairs, and you could go down. There was like a little apartment's kind of glorifying it. There was a room in there where you could sleep.
Yeah.
And it was like it was a thing originally built as an office room. It had a cork board and some chairs. But we had a couple instructors live there for a while. Allegedly.
Yeah, no, the Provo Dojo was kind of really one of a kind. Like, you'll never see another one like that again. It had basically 3 levels or 3 different dojo areas you could train in.
Yep.
And it had that spiral staircase going up. And I remember doing crane tests there where people had to hop up and down those stairs. And I'm just thinking, oh, God, just please nobody fall.
I think that was the back stairs they would hop up and down.
I even saw one where they did the spiral stairs. Oh. And I'm just thinking, I don't know if this is such a good idea. But hey, we're going to go with it.
You want to hear a spiral stairs story? So, again, on a test. So when you're going down the spiral stairs, you really can't see the bottom.
No.
You're almost down.
Yeah.
Right? So me and I think probably Russell, we would sit at the bottom of this test, and we'd have another instructor there send someone down, Bill down. Bill would run down, and we just get Bill down, and then we would pretend to beat him up, and then we'd say, I think it was around Halloween is why we did this. We didn't really beat him up. We would just rough him up. We didn't really do anything. Except we said lay down in the corner. We put fake blood on his mouth and nose, and we made a bunch of noise like he was getting like, oh, stop, oh, hell. Yeah. And then it'd be silent. And then we just say, okay, just lay in the corner.
Just lay there.
And then we do that to 3 or 4 people. And what was funny was they'd come running down the stairs, and as soon as they turned that corner, they'd see these bodies lying there with kind of blood on their face and stuff. They'd freeze and not know, should I keep going?
And then
we'd just wave them down. We would grab them, but we would just basically tell them, whisper to them, like, okay, lay down with these guys. And we had 3 or 4 guys piled up down there, and that was pretty fun.
See, like... It's funny because, like you said, you can't really do that anymore nowadays. But yet, those are funny stories that, like, people will still talk about today.
We had a bathroom that was, okay, it was just, you walk in, it was just room for a toilet, and you turn around, there was a sink. So it was probably only about 3.5 feet wide by maybe 7 feet long.
Yeah.
We had 14 people in there during a test. Go away in the bathroom.
You did that to me on my second degree.
In that bathroom?
Not your bathroom, at the one in the Riverton dojo. Yeah. All of a sudden, you shoved everybody in the bathroom, and I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, and you took lights off, slammed the door, wham. And I'm sitting there, and I told everybody in that bathroom, I go, if I hear that sink, like, my foot is going towards the sound of water, because I'm just thinking you're just right at the edge of the door, be like, I wonder if they're going to get a drink. We'll show them. And I just told everybody, like, nobody touch the sink, nobody touch anything, just stay put.
I think we went for lunch.
Interestingly enough, like 30 seconds in, the door flies open, everybody's blinded by the light, and you see this hand, it's like the hand of God coming in. It grabs one person and then they're gone. The door slams, boom. And then all of a sudden, silence. And you're just like, oh God, what's going to happen? So I'm like, okay, it's going to happen one way or the other. So I'm just like, let's just get this over with. So I'm like, I just stood in front of the door. It's like, I got to be the next one. And sure enough, a couple seconds later, door flies open. You're blinded because you're in pure darkness. This hand comes in, grabs you, yanks you out, and they throw you into the middle of the dojo. And that was when it was you, Jack, Larry, Tyler, Dave, and I think Joe. And they're like, okay,
pick one.
You've come to the crossroads of your test. Behind us in that bag is your belt.
Oh, yeah.
You can either try to get your belt, or you can go against the back wall and continue on with your test.
Or did we give you a choice? You can take this rank or the one in the belt?
No. Well, you just said, hey, you could get what's in the bag, because you didn't see what was in the bag. They said your rank. So everybody's assuming it's your next rank. They're like, but you got to go through us to get it. And I'm like, well, that's an easy decision. I'll see you against the back wall. I went to the back wall, but I remember there was one lady on that test, and you were even like, and Jack was like, you need to talk this woman down. Her name, I think it was Vivian. She was just done. She had it. We're like 3 or 4 hours into the test, and she goes, I'll do it. Like, I just want this over with. I'm going to do it. And Jack's like, we will hurt you. I don't even care at this point. I just got to do it. And you're like, think real hard about the decision you're making right now. I am. I just got to do it. I got to do it. I can't take this test anymore. I can't do it anymore. And you're just like, and then you had to look at Dave Garvey, and you're like, dude, you need to talk to your student, calm her down, tell her to go against the back wall, because if she doesn't, we're going to hurt her. And then so everybody goes, we go through this with everybody in the test. And then finally, everybody's against the back wall. And they're like, all right, everybody turn around, and goes, if you were to fight us, this is what you would have been fighting for. And he pulled out a white belt. Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like, well, that was a smart decision.
As you're telling this story, I'm thinking, if you had thought it through, and if you thought it was your next rank, were we switching the belt for everyone who came out with it?
Exactly.
I didn't think about that till just now.
Yeah. And when you're in the heat of the moment, you're just like,
so here's another bathroom story that, remember Eddie Schumacher?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was testing for one of his degrees, black belt, and it was, I think, in Vegas. And there was 2 doors. One was a bathroom. I think one was a closet. And it was, I don't remember who the instructors were. It was me and 2 other guys. And we told Eddie, he said, all right, you can choose door number 1, or you can choose door number 2. And behind one of those doors is somebody you're going to have to spar. There was nobody in the doors, right?
Okay.
So what Eddie, I wish I had recorded this, because Eddie he says, okay. He turns around and he's like slowly sneaking up on the door, like it made a difference.
Yeah.
He's doing like cat stances, like kata 3. Right?
He's stalking the door.
What he didn't see was we were stalking right behind him. So he's intent on this door. and he reaches out for the door. He turns the knob, and he opens the door really quick. We push him into the bathroom, and I think he fell a couple times and hurt himself.
Again, good stories. Those stories those types of events make the best stories in the long run. But yeah, no, I love hearing about the old Provo dojo. And
here's another story. This is more benign. So for my brown belt test, or one of my tests in Flagstaff, me and the guy Martin something, we were testing, and the instructor, we put a 3-mile course out in Flagstaff, and to prove that we ran it, he had 3 phone booths along the course, and we had to memorize the phone numbers to prove that we did the actual course, but we couldn't write them down.
Oh, good
and
luck.
if we didn't do it, we'd have to go back and get the phone number. Somehow he either let us go or we remember the numbers. I can't remember. Okay, and then, do you want another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
In Provo, this was in Provo, there was a test. I think it was just a regular test. And it was winter, and I lined the test up and said, okay, go to the store on the corner. I forget which store. It was like a 7-Eleven type thing. And call me when you get there. So I guess somebody was with me, probably Russell. So we get the phone call, and like, we're down at the store. And there was like 6 people or something, 5 or 6 or 7. Okay, we're at the store. What do you want? What's going on? What's next? I said, bring me a drink. Click. They had no money. So they offered to leave one of the kids there as a hostage.
Just take the kid.
Well, we swear we'll pay you. And the guy, whoever ran the store, he's like, they're in their uniform with patches.
Logos.
Yeah, we know who you are. And it's a soda, right?
Yeah.
So they brought back the soda.
And that was when people started packing money in their socks, right?
The next test, Kurt Shipley, and there's another story about him. He was a big, strong guy. Then we found people with stuffed money. You know, you're not supposed to talk about tests, but everyone does.
Yeah.
So they were stuffing money in their socks, just in case.
Just in case. That actually happened to me on my first advanced test. Is they sent a group of the test out to find a drink for the instructors and stuff like that. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm thinking, what? Get a drink for the No, I don't want to get a drink.
I'm thirsty. Get me something to drink.
It's like these guys are torturing me. No, they can be a little parched while they're doing it. Yeah, I
practice how to do this.
You don't understand. Yelling at people for a couple hours, it parches your throat out. I mean, you need.
Yeah, it does. I get it.
You need liquid refreshment.
Yeah. As an instructor, I understand this now. As a student, I didn't like it. I thought they were just being mean.
So it's funny. So a lot of these tests a lot of these hazing was designed in theory to help people be humble. Like just keep your temper under control, go with the flow, and get it done.
Well, and truthfully, I've noticed since we've started not doing that sort of stuff, there's a different, I don't want to say different demeanor in students, but there is a little bit different of a demeanor in students.
That's a societal problem.
Because it stopped.
Well, not just because we stopped.
Yeah, no, it's because we stopped.
When I came back, they were deep into the everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah.
So
I remember that.
That was ridiculous.
I remember that. That one of the first few tournaments we had back, we had participation trophies, and people would freak out more about not getting their participation trophy than an actual first, second, third, or fourth trophy.
Ribbons are fine, or certificates of participation are fine, but trophies are trophies, and they should be at most 4 places.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I remember one of your famous stories. It was right before a tournament, and we were talking trophies, and you're like, I don't even know why we're having this discussion. We just need to have one trophy. Everybody else is a loser. It was like,
technically, that's true.
Technically, you're right, but save a lot more on trophies, right?
I was going to say, we cut down on costs.
There you go. Hey. And then everybody's going for blood for that one.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see first, second, third. That's fairly standard.
Yeah.
And, there's achievement unless there was only 3 people in the division or 4 people.
Hey, they don't need to know that. You'd be like, I got 3rd place in my karate tournament.
No, I was the 3rd person.
But they don't need to know it was 3 out of 3.
Right.
Hey, that's for you to know. And for everybody else to imagine what was going on.
Yeah.
That's half of my resume is like, I got 3rd place in the state out of the 3 people that participated.
Yeah. I'm 3rd in state.
I don't see how people can be proud about that. Like if it was me and I knew that's what happened, I wouldn't probably not even accept the trophy or take it and put it on eBay or something.
I get you.
So I was coming back from a karate tournament and I was flying through through Chicago, and I think I was going back from Boston. Anyway, I'm in Chicago and the trophies were tall. They were probably 24 inches tall, right?
Yeah.
So I had this trophy. I don't remember which place. Probably first place.
Obviously first place.
Probably.
You know what? It was first place.
It was first place.
Yeah.
We'll just assume that.
So I get to at that time, security, and this black lady was there. She's like, "What's this?" I say, "Oh, it's a karate trophy." She goes, "You do karate?" I go, "Yeah." "But you so skinny."
You're so skinny.
So you're not.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you thought that.
I'm not stupid.
Of course not.
Yeah. I need to get on the plane.
Yes.
You may know karate. She probably knew crazy, and that crazy would have beat your karate.
You so skinny.
Yeah. No, so it's funny talking about all these stories and like all these events and stuff like that. Is that what you feel like keeps you still engaged with training today?
Not at all. I find that as I've been doing this for a while, I'm more interested in stuff that just works.
Okay.
From wherever it comes from. Like I realize that every system has their niche.
Yeah.
And that why they think they're special, but they're really not that special. There's only so many ways to kick and punch somebody, right? And every system seems to have some cool techniques and some good ideas.
I agree.
Right? And so my personal journey now is to learn what I can from anybody as long as it works. Plus, I find the whole study of martial arts and the human body and the kinesiology interesting and fascinating. Kind of like the workout we did Thursday.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we're talking about efficiency of movements, or how you were talking about how do you define efficiency without saying efficiency.
And what has to happen?
Yeah.
Like to be efficient, and it boiled down to you have to think ahead.
Yeah.
To be efficient in anything.
No, I agree, and I think that goes to like just not martial arts training, but like again with your firearms training and stuff like that. Any type of physical training, there's an efficient way of doing things that we may or may not know about until either one, someone shows you, or two, you do it long enough to realize, hey, this is different, and this works better. So, and
that's true for any physical activity: basketball, tennis, fencing.
Exactly.
You can go deeper and deeper in depth into the minutia and the fine points and fine tuning of anything if you want to.
Yeah. I find that's why I really enjoy your lessons, because that's where I'm kind of at mentally now, because obviously physically, like, I'm not going to do the same stuff I did 20 years ago.
Right.
You're like, oh, when you were young, it's like all about like sparring and jump spinning kicks and this and like all the cool stuff like you see on TV. But now that you're getting older and like, physically and athletically, you may not be where you once were. It's like, okay, how can I be as efficient as possible with the movements or the abilities that I may or may not have? So for me, I like that aspect of it. So I enjoy your teaching with it, to where like that's where you're trying to go as well.
And I'm trying to impart that to the instructors.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think if there's going to be shortcuts in any field of whatever you want to say, it's learning from someone who's been there and done that.
Yes.
That's the shortcut.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can try to figure it out for yourself.
Or you can just listen to someone who's already done it.
Yeah. And that's the shortcut. And you just have to practice what they tell you.
Now that's where it comes into the play of like ego, which I think I truly honestly believe that the group we have with TruMotion has like zero ego, to where, I mean, people probably,
some ego.
Let me rephrase that. People have an ego. You have to have some sort of an ego just to survive, but they don't have too big of an ego to feel like they can't listen to other people and learn from them.
You balance ego with humility.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the cap on your ego.
Yeah.
If you're not humble, then your ego gets out of control.
Also, I feel like if you go too humble, then like that's not good either.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there such a thing as too humble, or are you just becoming weak like a milquetoast?
I would agree. I would say you're just becoming less of what you can be.
In other words, can you be too humble?
Yes.
But at that point, it's not humility anymore. It's weakness.
It's something else.
Right. So therefore, you're either humble or you're not. Can you be kind of humble?
I can be kind of mean.
That's not the question.
No, you either are humble or you're not humble.
That's what I'm thinking as we speak, right?
Yeah.
I have to think it through, but That's another thing I think that's fascinating about, well, just life in general, is thinking about terms like what's efficiency?
Yeah.
Or what is humility?
Well, and truthfully, that's honestly some of the things I truly look forward to, because I feel like you and I have had like very, very good conversations over the past, I would dare say 5 years recently, where we've had like really in-depth, like, no, we've got to think about these questions and answers that we've had just randomly in certain places. Like even yesterday when we were sitting in the office after the meeting, started talking about other things. And it's like, okay, man, for me, that's where I really appreciate you and everything, like in the experiences you've gone through, to where it's like, I have this wealth of knowledge that I can actually tap into, that sometimes you forget that you have it. You know what I mean? Because if it's there all the time, like let's take the mountains. It's like we forget how beautiful the Rocky Mountains are.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I need to always remind myself, it's like, I really enjoy our deep conversations, because very few people that I know I can have these conversations with. So I will always make sure that I cherish those, because you never know when you're not going to have those anymore. So it's like, I want to make sure I get as much as I can from you, to where it's like, okay, I feel like I've gotten as much as I can, but now I still want more. And I really enjoy those conversations, not only just conversations, but that actually translate onto the mat with you too. When we're doing our training, it's like, it's not just like, all right, here's another form or here's another technique. It's like, and this is where I feel like some of the younger instructors really get frustrated, because they're not there mentally yet.
They want another technique.
They want another technique, or they want to work on like, this combo or that combo. They want to work on like fighting stuff, which again, I get. I remember I was 20 something years old too, and all you wanted to do is put your gloves on and like duke it out. Like, I totally get it. But yet when you're not 20 years old anymore, it's like, I don't want to fight all the time. Like, I want to know the ins and outs of what we're doing. Why are we doing it this way? Is this the most efficient way of doing something? Is there a better way to do something? Are we doing it the right way? Is there someone else doing it better? Who's that person doing it better? Let's talk to them.
Well, you bring up a good point. What is the right way?
Well, yeah. What is the right way?
And this is where
what works.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what it is. Because this system, our way is the right way. No, our way is the right way. Does it work?
Yeah. I agree. And everybody's built differently. Like the three of us are all built differently. So what the right way for me is not necessarily the right way for Steven or for you, and like vice versa. So it's being able to understand the difference between this version and that technique and this technique. It's like, again, because I'm with you, it's like, and this is where when I'm teaching, I have to toe the line with teaching and testing. Because when you're teaching someone, or at least when I'm teaching here, they'll do the technique and they'll do a hammer fist instead of a back fist. And in reality, who really cares? It's like, did you hit the right area? Did it work?
Is it the right strike for the right target?
Yeah. Did it work? Great. Moving on. But it's like when you go to a test, we look for that.
Because we are teaching a system.
Yes. So for me, sometimes I struggle with trying to teach what works versus teaching techniques.
Well, I think you can do both. You teach the technique. Here's the defense maneuver 7 or 18 or whatever it is. And then you could say from that, you could also do this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. That's why we used to have the A's and B's.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a step in that direction.
Yeah. And again, this just kind of goes back to like, again, where I'm at in my training versus everybody else, to where I don't want to say I'm like a free thinker, but like I try to think a lot versus going back to right way, wrong way. Because how many times have we been talking to students or other instructors where it's like, Master Lynton changed the technique, even though it's like, no, this is just a different version of the same technique. It's like, no, we didn't change it, but this works for me more efficiently than that working for this.
Well, frankly, some of our techniques or our maneuvers do need to be changed.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
I think in one system that's good at that is American Kempo. Ed Parker was good at let's make this change.
Yeah, they definitely had evolution. They do a lot of techniques.
Yeah, well, they do too many, but they have a lot of evolution.
Yes,
I think they have 3 different books. Anyway, they're good at that. Ed Parker was a very cerebral, analytical person.
I've heard that. I've never, obviously, because he was way before my time.
Yeah, but if you go on YouTube, his interviews.
Yeah, I need to actually kind of research.
And to get your black
him.
belt, you had to write a thesis or a book.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. So, it was interesting talking with Larry Tatum at the retreat about Ed Parker, and gosh, I wish I recorded that, because I'm struggling remembering all the stories that he would tell about the old system and this and that, and just how much of a thinker Ed was.
So let's talk about thinking. I'm glad you brought it up, because ultimately in life, you hope never to have to use your skills in a confrontation.
Yes.
So what are the other benefits? Learning to think is probably a very useful and skill to develop as you go through life, because you have to learn to think.
Yes.
People think, oh, well, I'm thinking all the time. You're not really thinking, you're existing. So if you learn to analyze, learn to question, learn to probe, keep your open mind to other things, that's a very valuable skill in life. That's how you gain wisdom.
I 100% agree, because that's one of the biggest things I've taken away with you. Because I remember the first few times I would have conversations with you, I always felt like it was you're challenging what I was saying. No, you're just asking a question.
So people hate questions, and that's why
they really do.
Because when you ask questions, they feel inadequate and that you're challenging them. But some people it is, but for me, I'm just seeking knowledge.
Exactly.
I don't care about people's. This is a problem. I don't care how you feel about it. I just want to know. I want to get to the source, right? And to do that, you have to ask questions and seek answers, and to seek understanding. You can't understand something if you don't question it.
Yes, and I remember the first few times I was like, God, why does he always have to question everything I tell him? He's always questioning everything I say. But in reality, that was really good, because it forced me to think deeper into what I was actually talking about.
So going back to ego, and really it's a security issue. If you're insecure, you're not going to like questions.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have confidence in yourself. If you're secure and you know that the person has a good intention, that's another thing, then you're going to be okay with it, right? So my manager at work, Sylvia, we've been working together for almost 30 years now. She knows. So we can have frank conversations, and I can question I don't really look at it as questioning the person. I'm questioning the conversation or the subject.
Yeah.
But people don't see it that way. They think it's questioning.
Because they take it personally.
Right.
Everybody's so attached to whatever they're saying that if you're questioning what they're saying, inherently they're going to think that they're questioning me.
Right.
In reality, they're just, like you said, you're just trying to gain a deeper understanding of what we're talking about.
Right.
And that's a skill I've learned from you. I would dare say that, like I said, like the past, when you started coming back about, 15 years ago? Yeah. A while ago. And it's like, man, that's a huge skill most people don't realize they're gaining until they have it. And all of a sudden they're like, they feel like they've had it forever. Does that make sense?
Once you learn how to question, what's interesting, I don't remember where I picked this up. Being observant is a key to. Okay, so if someone says something, if I said, "Hey, I'm going to go to the movie," most people go, "Oh, okay," but think about it. When are you going?
Yeah.
What movie are you going? Who are you going with? How are you getting there? What are you going to do after the movie?
Yeah,
almost anything.
Sounds like parenting.
Well, yeah. Well, that's interrogation. But if you think about it, almost everything someone tells you, they're giving you partial information.
Yeah.
Which if you want to make accurate assessments, you have to ask more questions. I'm going to take karate. Where are you going to take karate?
Yeah.
When are you going to take karate? Why are you taking karate?
Who are you taking?
Yeah, who are you going to take it with? Right.
Who's your instructor?
Who's your instructor? So once you learn that concept, it's almost hard not to ask questions.
It really is.
My wife goes to the doctor, it's funny. My wife and one of my daughters, the doctor says, "Hey, here, you take this, do that." Okay, and they go, "Okay." I'm like, "Well, did you ask him why this, that, and the other?" "Well, no." And my other daughter, Aubrey, she's like me, like, take these pills. "What? How many do I have to take? Is there other pills? Do I have to take pills? Is there something else I can do? What happens when I'm done with the pills?" Right?
Yeah.
She's like me.
Yeah, she's, wow, God, why do you question everything?
But here's the irony with doctors. They want you to ask questions because they don't, you know your body, right?
Yeah.
So now you're telling them, well, I don't think that's going to work. Or that. Anyway, point is, ask a lot of questions, but you have to most people, you have to kind of lay the groundwork or be sensitive. Like, I'm not challenging you, but I have some questions.
Or I'm not trying to be a jerk, or like, I don't understand. Could you please help me understand a little bit more about what you're talking about?
Or is it okay if I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
And you just have to tell them you're not challenging them because they're weak and insecure.
Yeah, there's a problem with that, but we're working on rectifying that.
And I think the martial arts is a great vehicle for developing people's self-confidence.
Yeah, very much so.
Insecurity it opens the door to a lot of other problems in relationships.
Yeah.
Insecurity.
No, I think that's...
Because to be secure, people, I mean, it just goes on and on.